What is going on, Trash Talkers? We are back with another episode for you. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the Atlanta Falcons and their 2021 season preview, including record predictions. All that and much more coming your way right now! Hey Trash Talkers, it's Mike here. Over 93% of you who view our show each and every day are not subscribed to the channel. If you could hit that red subscribe button, it would help us out tremendously, and it is completely free for you guys. If you want to stay up to date with our daily content, then click that bell icon and you will be notified every time we go live. Nick and I both really appreciate you subscribing to the channel, and we can't wait to keep making more daily content for you. All right, Nick, as we continue this series, we are finishing up the entire NFC. I can't believe this is the 16th video of this series, but here we are. The Atlanta Falcons wrap up the NFC for us and the NFC South. So let's take a look at their additions that they made this offseason. Starting off with their additions, we have running back Mike Davis coming over from the Carolina Panthers, tight end Kyle Pitts as their glorified first-round draft pick, and then tight end Lee Smith coming in as their backup tight end. Which one of these really sets the tone for you on their team?
It's going to have to be Kyle Pitts for me just because of how big of a name he's become without even catching his first ball in the NFL. People regard this guy as arguably the best tight end in the league, and it's unbelievable. He's going to have to live up to that name, live up to that hype, but I think that he has the potential, especially with Julio Jones out of the picture. He's going to have a lot more targets coming his way. There's going to be a lot more opportunities for him to be in scoring situations. I think he could be a really big piece in the red zone and to help this Falcons team get some W's this season.
Absolutely. I'm actually going to take running back Mike Davis, and we'll get into a little bit more later, but Mike Davis was a huge piece for the Carolina Panthers. He was the offset to Christian McCaffrey. When McCaffrey got hurt last year, he took on the number one role and absolutely demolished it. He was one of the best running backs in the league last year, and he is going to showcase why he deserves to be an RB1 in the NFL with the Atlanta Falcons. So let's take a look at some of their losses and see if any of those additions will make up for these losses. Starting off with the most recent and the most obvious, wide receiver Julio Jones being traded away to the Tennessee Titans. Then you have center Alex Mack, DeMonte Casey, Keanu Neal, and running back Todd Gurley. Which one of these losses is the biggest for you?
To me, it's going to be Julio Jones. I think that's a pretty obvious major loss for them. And when Matt Ryan does not have Julio Jones on the field, he is not the same quarterback. He does not perform the same, and everybody around him is affected by it. I think that's going to be very prevalent this season. We're going to see that a lot, and I think that it's going to hurt them in the end. But I think Julio Jones was such a big piece for them, and people didn't realize it. They're going to realize it this season without him.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Atlanta Falcons, the one thing that they've had consistency with is Julio Jones, Matt Ryan, and a strong offensive line. Well, that offensive line got hindered with the loss of Alex Mack, and Alex Mack is a huge loss for this team because he goes and visits his friends out in San Francisco. Kyle Shanahan gets to reunite his center with his new quarterback. Alex Mack, he was the heart and soul of this offensive line. In fact, he was Matt Ryan's best friend. They were so close to each other. They had an incredible friendship and kinship that can't be replicated, and they did not bring in another center of equal or more value than Alex Mack, and which would be hard to do, of course. But I believe that Alex Mack is a huge loss. This offensive line definitely got worse, and when you lose a guy like Todd Gurley, you're not going to have the same running attack. You lost Julio Jones. You're not going to have the same passing attack. It all stems from the center and the quarterback combination. Matt Ryan might be the same, but Alex Mack ain't going to be there, and he's not. He's the quarterback of that offensive line. All right, let's switch over to the schedule and take a look at their record predictions for 2021. All right, starting off with week 1, we have the Atlanta Falcons hosting the Philadelphia Eagles, and This is probably going to be one of the easier matchups that the Falcons have this year. And the Falcons start off the season on a high note, getting a win against the Eagles. The Eagles have a brand new team. They're still getting used to all the departures and additions that they've had. Look at the Falcons to strike early. Kyle Pitts is going to get into this offense, and he's going to get a lot of touches early and often with this team.
That's a great win in week one, but in week two, they have to face the vaunted, current reigning Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers at their home in Tampa Bay, and it's just going to be a lot for them to handle. They're going to realize just how many weaknesses they have on both sides of the ball as the Buccaneers absolutely demolish them. It's not even going to be close.
Then in week three, the Atlanta Falcons continue on the road as they visit MetLife Stadium, going to see the New York Giants. And the New York Giants got a lot better this season, adding players like Kenny Golladay and people on the back end like Logan Ryan and Adoree Jackson. Look for the Giants to really put the pedal to the metal in this game. The Giants are going to absolutely obliterate the Falcons in week three.
Then in week four, they had to face the Washington football team, who have also gotten a lot better, adding a key piece that they have known for a few years now, Curtis Samuel, along with Ryan Fitzpatrick and many others. This offensive line is legit. They've got some nice weapons on offense, and the defense is just absolutely stout. They've got a ton that they can work with. This Falcons offensive line has got their work cut out for them. I just don't think the Falcons offense is going to be able to handle this pass rush that Washington has to offer, and Washington now has the offense to put up enough points to get past the Atlanta Falcons.
Then in week five, a team that, kind of hit some skid marks after week one, starting off 1-3, the New York Jets come into town. And I believe that the New York Jets, as much as I give them crap and as much as I hate on them and, rain on their parade, I believe that they still made some solid additions this year. And I believe they're going to put them on showcase against some of the weaker opponents, that being the Atlanta Falcons. I think that the New York Jets are going to take this game in Atlanta in a very high scoring matchup. I believe that this is going to be one for the ages. I believe that you're going to see Zach Wilson on full display here. And this is why Jets fans are going to be all up in arms and saying, I told you he was the best pick. It's going to be against the Atlanta Falcons.
Luckily for the Atlanta Falcons in week 6, they have a bye week, so they can start to correct some of those issues. Arthur Smith has got to figure out this offense. And in week 7, they get to go on the road to Miami in what's going to be a very tough matchup, as Will Fuller and Jalen Waddle are going to be on full display against this porous secondary of the Falcons. AJ Terrell is great, but there's really just nobody there to run with him, and I think they're going to be a little too much for him to handle. I think that the Falcons have got an offense that can put up points. They just don't have the defense that can stop the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins will be able to put up a ton of points, enough to get past the Atlanta Falcons in week 7.
Sitting at 1-5, the Atlanta Falcons are reeling here, and they now face the Carolina Panthers, who got much, much, much more improved. If you take a look at our video from yesterday, you're going to see exactly what we talked about with the Carolina Panthers and where they stack up with the rest of the NFC. I believe that the Carolina Panthers are going to absolutely obliterate the Atlanta Falcons in a divisional matchup that is going to leave some questioning whether Arthur Smith was the right choice at head coach.
Then in week 9, the Atlanta Falcons make their way to New Orleans, where they get to face another divisional opponent, and they get to face Jameis Winston for the first time. It's going to be a very tough matchup for Atlanta, as Jameis Winston is going to put up a ton of points with his new weapons, Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara. I think Jameis Winston's going to have a few games this season where he really shows us why he has the potential to be a starter in this league, why people need to give him a real shot. He could have one of those 500-yard games with 6 touchdowns. I think this could definitely be one of them.
All right, continuing the slide for the Atlanta Falcons, week 10, they continue their road trip, where now they hit Big D, the Dallas Cowboys, at home. And if there's one thing that the Dallas Cowboys know, it's how to score points. With Dak Prescott back under center after his horrific injury last year, with that offense and all the pieces that they have, including Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Ezekiel Elliott, top 5 offensive line, so on, so on, and so on. I believe that the Cowboys are going to run away with this game very early and not look back. Look for the Cowboys to win this game in week 10.
Then in week 11, the Atlanta Falcons finally get their retribution they've been looking for all these years, to get rid of that 28-3 mark that has haunted them for years now. The Patriots make their way to Atlanta. Falcons are going to try to do their best to get past the Patriots, but I think that the Patriots have just made too many moves this offseason. Bill Belichick is too good of a head coach, and I think he's going to have them too well prepared to face this Atlanta Falcons team. The Patriots should have a pretty easy time in Week 11.
Then in week 12, the Atlanta Falcons go on the road to Jacksonville, where I think that they are going to struggle. I believe that with Trevor Lawrence and Urban Meyer really heading this thing up, I believe that the Jacksonville Jaguars are in for a really good win here. They're going to face a reeling Falcons team. Look for the Jaguars to actually win this game, and I believe that the Jaguars will come out on top in a very close 50-50 shootout.
Now in Week 13, the Buccaneers make their way to Atlanta, where they face off for a second time. This, however, things will not change. The Buccaneers are on an absolute tear, and they are not going to stop with the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons really have no shot against this Buccaneers team. Tom Brady's going to have an easy time in Week 13.
Then in week 14, the Atlanta Falcons start to right the ship as they face the Carolina Panthers for the second time this season. I believe that the Falcons, seeing what they saw against Carolina, they're going to be able to concoct some sort of scheme to really attack this Panthers, maybe a little more time of possession against this team, maybe a little more defense that's going to hone in on what teams do against Sam Darnold to beat him. Look for the Falcons to come out on top in this close divisional matchup.
That's a huge win. And then moving into Week 15, the Atlanta Falcons make their way to San Francisco, where they get to face good old friend, old buddy of Matt Ryan's, Kyle Shanahan, who knows all too well what to do in preparation for Matt Ryan and this offense. Alex Mack is also going to be a huge piece in telling the defense how to prepare for Matt Ryan. I think that this is going to work heavily against the Atlanta Falcons, and the 49ers will be able to edge out the Falcons at home.
Then in week 16, the Detroit Lions take their road trip over to Atlanta, where I believe that the Atlanta Falcons get yet another weak opponent that they're going to be able to feast on. And I think you're going to see a lot of the same. Calvin Ridley, Kyle Pitts, Mike Davis. You're going to see this offense absolutely explode. The biggest issue for them is continuing to contain the Detroit Lions. I believe that the Falcons will be able to do just that. Week 16 belongs to the Atlanta Falcons.
Then Week 17, the Atlanta Falcons make their way to Buffalo to face the Bills in what's going to be a very big matchup for the Buffalo Bills as they try to edge out the Patriots for the division and potentially win the conference, locking up that first seed bye. I think that's going to be a little too much for the Atlanta Falcons to handle, as they are 3-12 at this point in the season, and they're not playing for much. They're just playing for pride. It's still not going to be enough to get past the Buffalo Bills.
Coming off of an embarrassing loss to the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo in December, the Falcons come back home into their dome in Atlanta and face yet another reeling NFC South opponent in the New Orleans Saints. They've already seen the Saints. They've seen Jameis Winston, somebody that they used to know back in his time in Tampa Bay. I look at the Saints to be able to take care of the Atlanta Falcons, really put the nail in their coffin for the season, show them that they need to go back to the drawing board, really get some key pieces under lock, including the offensive line, really fix up that defense. I believe that the Saints will win Week 18 and really put a cap on this season for both of their franchises.
It's a tough season for the Atlanta Falcons, but when you look at how everything happened this season with the salary cap going down for the first time in 20 years and them having to trade Julio Jones just to sign their rookie class, it's unbelievable that they were even able to make it to the season to begin with. They had so many setbacks, and I think that they're going to have to start rebuilding from here with their new GM, their new head coach. This is just the start of a long rebuild, but I think that they have some key pieces in place that could help them make this a shorter rebuild than some people think.
That, and don't forget, now with all of the weapons and things that they have already set in place, they can use their high draft pick to take maybe a quarterback for the future, maybe pair it up with some of the picks that they got from the Tennessee Titans and really get the number one pick. I mean, there's so many things that they could do when they're vying for a top draft choice here. I believe that the Atlanta Falcons are in a prime position to continue this rebuild, continue to move forward. Matt Ryan is nearing the end of his career. You still have a young Calvin Ridley. You still have Kyle Pitts. This offense is really good. Let's work on the defense. Let's work on the offensive line, and let's get the quarterback of the future under center. All right, well, that's going to do it for now. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell. We go live every single day. That'll be all. Peace and love.